What's going on, guys? Greg here. Before we get into the video, I got a little bit of a disclaimer going on about soundboards and future installations. So over the past 2-3 months, I've done 3 or 4 installs with Nygon boards. Spark Color 2, Spark 2. There's actually 2 Spark 2s and a Spark Color 2. And I have to say I'm not affiliated with Nygon or Collector Labs. I'm not paid by them. I don't get free boards. I don't know if anyone does, but I don't. Um, but after using Nygon boards and the way the interface works, where there are different configuration editors for each board, and the way the actual SD cards are set up and formatted, I'm personally not a fan of. It's nothing. It's Nygon. Every time I've talked to them, they have been more than helpful. I actually had a couple questions about one of the sabers I did. They were responsive. They were awesome. It's nothing against them. It's the user friendliness of their boards just isn't working for me. Especially it won't when I'm because I'm home for the summer right now. When I'm at school, when I'm doing this full time, I don't have access to a PC, and you can only use a PC to program Nygon boards. There is no Mac capabilities, so that's a problem. So long story short, I'm not going to do any more commissions on Nygon boards, Spark 2, Spark Color 2, Igniter, unless there's a reason that's more than just I want it. No offense. If there's a specific feature that is only on one of those boards, it's something that you and I, the customer and I, can talk about. But if not, it's just something I'm not going to be taking commissions on. Like I said, it's my own choice. I'm not affiliated with either. It's nothing for Plector or against Nygon. It's just how it's going to work, especially with me being at school throughout the year and not having access to a Mac. So I'm sorry for anyone who wants to get a Nygon board dud. And that being said, I have today an OWK from Korbanth that has a Spark 2 inside of it. This kind of was the last straw, no offense. But nothing against the customer, nothing against, like I said, nothing against Nygon themselves. So I can't stress that enough. It's just how it's going to have to work. So that being said, this is, like I said, an OWK, an Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 1-2 hilt from Korbanth, from his run from last year. He did this along with the K4 and the DV6 and the MPP. So this was one of 4 sabers. Then he had, the Darth Maul and more Graflex, etc. But that was part of that run. Just like all of his other sabers, it's 7/8 inner diameter, so it's tiny. So it only fits a few boards, Spark 2, Spark Color 2, because they're the same size. Nano Biscotti, Crystal Shard if you have one. And I don't know, because Shamim did with the K4, he did that trick where he filed down the inside. I don't know if you could do that with this, because it's so thin. This whole like bezel right here actually unscrews and comes off. And then inside, if you look in there, that's actually a whole separate tube. Excuse me. And so it's really thin. I don't think you'd be able to file it down much, but if those want to try, go for it. The one, not issue, but the one new thing with this install was because it's Spark 2, you have the option to use a single or 2 switches, and the customer opted for 2, which is possible. It's very possible. It is just finding a spot to put it without it looking ugly is difficult. It's because the red button is activation number 1, and number 2 is usually people will put it in here. I don't have the tools or the capability to do that because it involves a drill press, and I do not own one currently, and I was not going to go at it freehand because I would snap through the screw and then no more screw, and the customer would not be happy to get that news. So what I did was actually, if you look, each of these 2 are a third of the way around the saber, lined up directly with these are shine through. So 1, 2, and usually in the saber there's just this third one, but this part right here is silver. There's no hole. So I screwed a hole and then put a switch underneath, and then I just covered it with a little bit of electrical tape. So it kind of looks natural as you're going around. Let's take a look at that. And then you like that, and then 3. And so you can't even tell. And so there's actually a tactile switch underneath that, which is your activation. and power off, and then the red button is your auxiliary effects. In the Spark Color 2 editor, or the Spark 2 editor, you can swap those, so if need be, you can if you decide to go the other way. Or you can also disable it and turn it to one switch. I don't know exactly which one, but let's say the customer, which this shouldn't happen and I don't plan on it happening, but let's say one of the switches stopped working. The customer could then go into the editor, choose to have one switch, and then choose which of the switches it is, I believe. I know you can have one switch, I just don't know if you can specify which one. So yeah, then each of these are blue LED that are shine through. You can wire them if you wanted to, but the heatsink is mounted just below. So I'm trying to do this backwards. Is just below, so when the LED illuminates, it actually lights those up. If you can see in there, let's see. Right, can I get one? Can't, but they are in there, obviously. Let's see, like I said, internally it's just a Spark 2. Only one sound font. It's OWK, The Phantom Menace by, I believe, Blako. I'm not positive, so do not quote me on that. But if you just type in OWK on Saber font, I believe it's the only font that comes up. But like I said, I believe it's Blako, but don't quote. And then the only other thing is the customer actually requested that I not drill a blade retention screw because he machines things, and so the emitter decides to can unscrew this very top emitter piece. And I know he talked about putting a retention screw for the blade in here. You can do that, or my personal preference. Blade retention is either right through here or in the black. I think in the black is the best because it's somewhere you can't see, because you can put it anywhere in these grips, because the blade goes all the way down to the LED module, and so anywhere in here. But I will let him do whatever he wants and go from there. Let's see. Inside we also have, oh, okay. This is the most important part of the video, especially for the customer. This is a tight fit, especially because we did battery chassis, board chassis, and then the speaker holder and recharge port holder. And so, I mean, that literally fits from the LED module to the pommel. And because of a way that I've always found to keep everything from rattling around is when wiring up the recharge port is to use the battery wires, which for the most part are usually 26, 28 gauge, directly, because what that'll do is it'll add just a little bit of thickness, and especially those wires are very malleable. It'll add just a little bit of thickness, and it'll make it so that the recharge port just barely sits in flush, and the wire, if I can, let's see, it's up top. So the wire, which you can't really see, but it just pushes against the inside of the hilt, and no rattling. So, disclaimer for the customer: be careful when you're pulling this out. It's a little tug, because what it is there's no room between this and the SD card holder. There's just enough to pull it back to get access to the SD card. And so here, see how it's loose now? So don't even pull it from there. That's it. You want to shake it till it comes out. Takes a second. A little bit. It's a pain to get out. So there we go. Okay. See all that shaking? Then you just get it right there. This pulls out about halfway. I'm not gonna do it because I'm not gonna. The more you do it, the more likely you're to break things. So leave it as is. And this folds down just enough. You can move the speaker wires out of the way, and then your SD card access is right there. Your speaker wires should be okay, because I have hot glued them, something Mad Cow does. Lots of a little bit of hot glue, so the wires can be pulled on a little bit, so they should be fine, but be careful. Like I said, it's tiny wires, and you shouldn't have to go in here much to change things, but after that you want to use the speaker holder / recharge port, and then you just want to use that. It goes right up against here, and then just gently slide it back in, just enough for the wires to sit flush with the inside, that silver ring. And the reason that's disclaimer part 2 is you want that in enough so it's tight, because if not, when you thread this in, you could pinch a wire and break there goes a recharge port, and then you're not going to know what's wrong with it, and we don't want that. So just enough so it's flush. Your threads are going to be clear. Obviously you can see that the threads are clear, and this would go in, and then decides to screw back on, screw back on. The only other thing, wow, 10-minute video. The only other thing is that you can swap this piece out here, this bezel, and that's something, again, if the customer wants to do it, by all means. So I've kept it waiting long enough, 11 minutes, so let's get this thing fired up. I don't know if there's deep sleep, let's see. Oh. So 1, 2, 3. This is your activation, so yep, down, then like I said, it's tight, it's not even there, you can't, it's, you know, underneath. So, and yep, all these, see, shine through. 1, 2, 3, and then here it is a blue white LED, or it might be, I think it's royal blue white. There we go. Like I said, I'm sorry guys, this video is a little bit longer than I was expecting, but like I said, the disclaimer at the beginning, I'm just, you know, I'm sorry, they might affect a couple customers. For the most part, it's always, I shouldn't say that, but it's usually Plector boards that I'm getting. Like I said, it's nothing, it's Nygon. They've, like I said, they've all been extremely nice to me, and I'm going to try one on a personal saber just to kind of mess with it and get used to it, and then maybe we'll open up in the future. But until then, I will post that on my page, and yeah, so thank you guys, and have a good one.